Hello and welcome to this short demonstration of the key features of MoveIN for managing academic and employer contacts. In the demonstration I'm going to use a fake institution called Top School, but if you were to take this solution it will be set up specifically for you with your branding, your fields, your processes, and all the templates you're about to see can be easily adapted. They'll be adapted by us during the implementation process and we'll give you the tools to make further changes should you need them at any point. The beginning of the process is getting the academic and employer contacts into the system. That can be done in two ways. They could be imported through a CSV file or an Excel file from some existing lists, or they could be nominated by your staff. So you can ask your staff to complete a form, such as the one that I'm going to show you here, which is set up for our Top School. The form is adaptable in terms of the fields that are shown, and also they can be dynamic fields so that when you change from an academic nomination to an employer nomination, some of the fields will clearly change, like job title or organisation will change when you go to an academic to the university and the country of the university and subject, etc. It's also a form that can be viewed on different devices. It's called responsive design. So if someone is submitting this on a mobile or tablet, it will fit nicely on the screen and they'll be able to complete it there. I've already started this nomination for a academic contact of mine called Carl Jung, and you can see I've entered his title, his gender, nationality, and these are all done through drop-down fields. You can also have fields that have email addresses or text or phone numbers. You can have fields that have lists from which you pick, and they can be filtered lists. And as well as providing the details of Carl Jung, I've provided details of myself as the nominator. And once I've submitted that nomination, it will give me the option to make an additional nomination, and Carl will be added to my list of contacts in the system. So let's look at that list. Here is the list as it was a few moments ago. If I refresh, then you'll see Carl's name appearing now at the top of the system. But in actual fact, at the moment it's showing me just his last name, Jung, his contact type, his contact title, his nationality, email address, and then it's showing me here who nominated him. So it was nominated by Ian Lines, what department I'm in, and what the subject of the nomination is, etc. If I wanted to change what's on this grid, I can come in here and just change the view, come in here, let's put his first name as well as his last name, and I can choose whatever other fields I want to add to the grid. I can also change the order, so if nationality is very important, I can simply drag that field to the beginning. I could sort by nationality, or perhaps I want to filter and I only want to see my academic contacts. So let's remove employer contacts and do an update. And now you can see I've got 32 nominations in the system, which are all my academic contacts. So once I've done that, perhaps I want to go and view at the end here. You can see one of the fields I've got is whether or not they've opted into the QS survey. If I come and change, I can only see the ones that have opted into the QS survey. Then you'll see that there's now only 3. And if I wanted to send an email to all those people, I could tick this box. And then I've got actions here, such as send an email or do an export. So if I wanted to export this ready to send to QS for the nomination process, I could do it here. If I send an email, I can come into email and I can select from a template and send the email. Choose my from. I'm going to choose my from subject, from email address, and send. And I can check the status of that inside the system as well to check that the emails have gone okay. And they will come from your own email address from within the school. So we can send different types of emails to individuals or to groups. And if I have a look at a particular person in the system, let's choose one that we've added a few minutes ago called Albert Einstein. What you can see in here is all of his personal details, his gender, nationality and things, all stored in this sort of CRM system. along with his contact details, email addresses, phone numbers, addresses, and you can add more of those. If you've got multiple email addresses, you can add those. If you want to change the phone number, you can edit those. And you can also add whatever additional fields that you would like. In addition to providing details about the person, I can see the full activity stream of what's gone on with this person. So I can see that an email was sent to this person on Friday, 26th of March, which was when they were invited to participate in the survey. They were then asked in the invitation whether they're willing to have their details passed to QS and to click, or if they preferred not to be contacted by QS, they could click there as well. And the system automatically sends those emails and records the answers so that you don't have to worry about getting permissions. It's all taken care of. In addition to the email chain, you've also got tasks. So if you wanted to remind yourself perhaps to follow up with someone who hasn't yet agreed to participate in the survey, or someone who asked you to send you a report, then you can create your own little task for yourself or for a colleague to follow up with this particular contact at a later date, and it will automatically send a reminder via email to that person, as well as them being able to see it in the system. Everything that you've seen in the system is controlled through tools, which are called systems admin tools. Let me log in again to my system admin area. And this will depend on the users in the system, what they're able to see in this area. Most things will be set up for you, as I say. However, if you want to make changes, we can do those on your behalf, or you can do them yourself once you're familiar with the system. So, for example, the email template that you saw just a moment ago is set up in the system here. Let me provide my email address. Everything is secured by email address, and it's just set up through a WYSIWYG editor, so you can put whatever text you want, whatever images you want, as well as what we call mail merge tags. So if you want to put someone, greet them by their first name, their last name, or you wanted to add their title in here, you could do that very easily just by coming in here and adding a title. Insert the merge field, and then if I wanted to see what that looks like, I can send myself a test mail to make sure that it comes out exactly as I would want. Also in the admin area, there's the option of creating automation rules, and that's the system that was used to automatically send the email without you having to worry. And this is the automation rule that was used for that. It was called an academic request, is the name of this automation rule, and what it says is there's a trigger. And the trigger is if the contact that's added is an academic contact and the nationality is one of these 209 nationalities, which in this case is everyone except perhaps one nationality that you want to greet in their own language, then and you haven't yet sent a contact request, then send the contact request immediately. And that's exactly what it does. As well as sending the contact request immediately, this automation rule is set to do two more things, which is to update the field to say we've made the request, and to set a date the request was sent so that you can see in the future when requests were made. You could also add a further action, such as send another email to the contact after a period of perhaps 14 days, 2 weeks later, or alternatively to send an email on a particular date. Maybe you've got a deadline of the end of the month and you want to send an email then. So these automation rules are very powerful, and you can set them up not just to send your requests, but also to send newsletters or to send other information to your contacts on the dates and times that you specify. So that's the basis of the system, but reporting is something that's incredibly important, and being able to see what's in the system at any point in time. And you can do that through your grids, as I showed you. But if you want to see graphically where you are in the system, then we have a system for seeing visualizations. So this is showing me that at the moment there are 52 nominations in the system. It shows me how many have already agreed to participate in the survey, how many have disagreed, and how many we're waiting on. It shows you the breakdown by academics and employers. And for the academics, it then breaks it down by subject, by employer. It breaks it down by industry. breaks it down by gender and nationality, and then you can see the full list for each individual, the top nominators, so by person, the person who's done the most nominations, this guy Ian Lyons, who's nominated 8. And here you can see a graphical representation of which departments have done the most. If you wanted to, you can also filter by any of these fields. So here you can see, for instance, I had quite a few nominations back in March. Then I had a couple of nominations more recently in May. You can see the total number of nominations here and how many have opted in here. But if I was to say, well, I'm only interested in the academics, I can click here on the academic bit here, and it's now showing me just the academics, and I'm down to 32. If I only want to see the ones that opted in, I can click yes here, and I'm back to the 3 that I saw earlier. I can see what academic subjects they are, I can see what countries they're from, I can see their gender breakdown, and I can see who nominated them. They've been nominated by 3 different people here, and when they were nominated. So if you wanted to filter just for the ones nominated by the science department, I could do that. So I can see straight away I've only got 2 nominated by the science, 1 male, 1 female, etc. The system is also compatible with other systems so that all the data can be extracted into standard formats. There's also an API if you'd want to link into something else. Or, for instance, I've set it up to use an SMTP server for sending my emails called SendInBlue, which tracks how many emails I've sent, how many have been opened, how many have been clicked, which ones have bounced, either soft bounce or full bounce. And you can actually view for your individual emails this data, and you can filter or export this to do more analysis of which email addresses were incorrect, etc. So that's the brief demonstration. The features will be presented separately. However, just a couple of things to stress. This is your system. So once you've subscribed, you will be given your own instance. The data belongs to you, it's hosted for you, and it's accessible by you and no one else that you don't authorize through a web browser. Part of the solution is exporting information, which you can then send to QS or other bodies for our use based on the permissions received. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to this demonstration, and if you've got further inquiries, we'll be pleased to help.